No culture or religion condones violence against women. Yet in every culture, there are women who are abused and beaten. The dynamics of violence may be similar. However, each woman's experience and response to the abuse may be culturally determined. Immigrant women and women of color must overcome many barriers in order to get help. What you are about to see are some of the ways criminal justice personnel, such as police officers, Crown Counsel, and victim service workers, can support these women as they strive to end the violence in their lives.
Bravo 3, we have a possible domestic at 1710 8th Street. Repeat, 8th Street. Neighbor called in. Report of a woman screaming. Copy?
We're a couple of blocks away. Are there any weapons?
Bravo 3, not as far as we know. Older couple. Male is Marco Ortega, 58 years old, 29 CNI negative. Female is Carmen Ortega, 56 years old, negative as well. Bravo 3, be advised. We've been there twice before in the last 6 months for domestic problems.
Yeah, and I've been to both of them.
10-4 can radio check for FACs and any protection orders.
It'll be quick. She never says anything. This is gonna be a waste of time.
Well, maybe not. Do you remember what they said about that in the spousal assault training session? Well, I do. They said a woman will experience 25 assaults before she calls for help.
Yeah, we'll go and arrest this SOB. And the next day, she'll come in and plead with us not to charge him. Ours is not to reason. Good afternoon, Mr. Ortega. It's the New Westminster Police. We're here in regards to a noise complaint that was reported coming from your residence.
Nothing wrong here.
Open the door, Mr. Ortega. We need to make sure everyone here is all right.
What for?
Open the door, Mr. Ortega.
I told you nothing wrong here.
Mr. Ortega, open the door now.
Escóndete, escóndete.
¿Dónde?
En el dormitorio.
Mr. Ortega, open the door.
No, no, en el sótano, en el sótano.
We had a complaint from some neighbors about some noise coming from your residence here.
Stupid neighbors. They don't understand. I watch my TV, I watch soccer. Everybody yell at soccer. So, what do you want? Can I yell in my house?
You can yell in your house. We want to make sure, Mr. Ortega, that everyone here is all right, and we're not going to leave until we find out. Where is your wife, Mr. Ortega?
I don't know where she is. Bathroom maybe? Maybe it's in the garden? I don't know where she is. I am not the boss.
Ma'am? Ma'am, it's the police. Are you okay, Mrs. Ortega?
Ay, Dios mío.
I want you to come up so that I can make
Si
sure
me
you're all
ven,
right.
cuando se vaya la policía, voy a tener problemas. Y si vienen para acá, voy a tener más problemas.
But I can't leave until I see you.
I come up now. I was just doing laundry.
Michelle? Mr. Ortega, he needs a smoke. We're just gonna pop out in the back porch here.
Mrs. Ortega's just coming up from the basement. I'll talk with her here while you two go out there. I'd like to have a word with you, Mrs. Ortega. Why don't we have a seat over here at the table? Mrs. Ortega, are you okay? You look like you've been crying, and something's happened here this afternoon, and you You seem like you've been hurt.
I'm okay, okay. Please go.
I can't go until you've told me what's happened. We've been here before, but clearly we haven't been able to help you in the past. In order for me to help you, you've got to tell me what's happened here. Do you understand what I'm saying? How long have you been in Canada, Mrs. Ortega?
We moved from Guatemala 10 years ago. Why you come?
There was a call from the neighbors. They heard some shouting.
Crazy people. Nothing wrong here. You can go.
I have to ask you a few questions first, Mrs. Ortega, before I leave. Is there any guns in the house?
Guns? No guns. Marco have no guns.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened this afternoon? What's concerning you the most right now?
Why you come? You make more problems for me. What are neighbors going to think?
You don't have to worry about that. We parked up the street, not in front of the house. We're here to see that you're safe, and that's the most important thing, and that's why we're here. Did something happen this afternoon?
I told you no problems. Please go. Everything okay.
In Canada, it's against the law for a husband to hit his wife. If your husband's hurt you, ma'am, we can put him in jail.
¿Y usted cree que Marco se va a quedar en la cárcel? Estúpido. ¿Cómo voy a vivir solo? Ustedes se creen que pueden venir acá y resolverlo todo en 5 minutos. Yo he vivido así por años.
Ma'am, here's my card. It's got the police file number on it.
¿Pero quién me da ese papel? ¿Qué voy a hacer yo con eso?
Are those your grandchildren?
Yes.
They're beautiful. They must love you very much.
Marco is a good husband.
I'm sure he is in many ways, but it is against the law for him to hurt you. This is not your fault, Mrs. Ortega. Please, tell me what happened.
I told you. Nothing. Oh, Dios mío. Tú no tienes por qué soportar esto más. Ahora estás en Canadá. Aquí hay gente que puede ayudarte.
There are other people you can talk to. People who will help you.
En el sacramento del matrimonio, los esposos entregan su vida en las manos de Dios. En la presencia de Dios, juraste amar a tu compañero en los buenos o en los malos momentos.
Mrs. Ortega, there are people, women, who are trained to help you. With your permission, I'd like to contact one of them to talk with you. They'll find a worker who speaks Spanish and understands the Spanish community.
How can I talk to anybody? They will laugh.
Nobody will laugh. These people will believe you. It's their job to help women who are in situations like yours. If we don't do something about this, it's just going to get worse. I can't do anything unless you tell me what has happened.
If I tell you anything, he gets more mad.
If you tell me what has happened here, I can get an order from the courts to keep him away from you until he gets some help. You have to trust us. Mrs. Ortega, I'm very worried for you.
I'm fine, I told you. Now please go.
I'm just gonna go talk to my partner. I'll be right back. I think something happened here today, but there's nothing more we can do for you until you're willing to talk to us. This is my number. I'm Constable Struthers, and you can reach me anytime at this number. And this is your file number. Carmen, I can ask Victim Services to contact you, and they can put you in touch with a worker that speaks your language. They can help you.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll call them today, and if they don't hear from you within a week, they'll give you a call to make sure that you're okay. You may want to put this somewhere safe. Do you think you're going to be all right
It's
when you
actually
leave?
very interesting. Well, we'll be going now.
It's okay.
I told you, it's the same story. These things never change.
Shut up, you Neanderthal. She looked pretty upset. I told her I'd call victim services and have them follow up. And I gave her my number. I mean, this time maybe she'll call.
Don't get your hopes up, Michelle. I've done the same. She's never called me. I'm sure she's not going to call you either. She's too afraid.
Don, you gotta remember where these people are from and what they've been through. In Guatemala, people fear for their lives when the police come to their front door. I just hope we can break through that barrier. Come on, I'll buy you a cheap cup of coffee.
Struthers. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello? This is Carmen Ortega.
There are many reasons why women find it difficult to report the abuse or pursue legal action. In this scenario, Carmen was reluctant to report because she was economically and socially dependent upon her husband. She believed that the violence would get worse if the police spoke to her husband. She believed there were strong religious pressures for her to accept her husband's behavior. She had few social supports and lacked information about her rights.
Things will be different in Canada. They'll be so happy. When I start working, we can send money back to your family and even work and bring them over. Things will be so sweet you can't imagine.
No, we don't have the money for it. Why you want to take an English class anyway? You have enough to do looking after the baby in the house. Trust me. No one will listen or believe you. And if you keep causing me trouble, I'm gonna send you back to Seoul. Back to your family. And who'd want you, huh? You'd be disgraced. You'd be like a cheap whore. Don't you fucking say anything. Fucking say anything. Fucking say anything.
I'm glad you were able to come, sir.
Yeah, I came as soon as I got the call from the paramedics about the possible domestic.
Yes, well, Mrs. Cameron was brought in about an hour ago. She was semi-conscious on arrival. Her husband says she fell down the stairs. She received injuries all over her body with primary bruising to her stomach, her lower back, and her chest. 7.5 months pregnant. We may have to send her to Nanaimo for more specialized care.
Is it possible this was an accident?
It's hard to say. From the nature and location of the injuries, it could be accidental. However, there's some old burn marks on her forearm. And there's also other bruising on her back and arms, which may indicate past assaults.
Apparently there has been a previous call to the home, but no charges were ever laid. Has she said anything?
Well, the husband says she doesn't speak any English.
We'll be getting an interpreter from victim services.
But don't you speak Korean?
No, I'm Chinese. Not much help in this case.
I'll have to ask the social worker to find an interpreter. May take some time. The only Korean interpreter we have lives in Nanaimo.
Is that her husband down the hall?
Yes. That's him.
Excuse me, sir. Are you Russell Cameron?
Yeah?
I'm Constable Way. I'm with the RCMP. I'm here to find out what happened to your wife this afternoon.
Have you talked to her?
No, not yet.
Well, she won't speak to you. She's very dependent on me. I have to do everything for her, everything. Send money to her folks back home, work all hours to keep her. Like right now, she can't even keep the house clean for me. I have to do that as well. I don't know what's wrong with her. Is she gonna be okay?
Yeah, she's conscious, but she has some serious injuries, and we're not sure how she got them. I'd like to talk with you about that.
Why? Do you think I had something to do with that? Do you think I'd hurt her? Are you crazy? I love her.
Calm down, Mr. Cameron. No one's accusing you of anything. Just want to ask you a few questions.
Look, I was working in the garage on my truck, and I hear this noise in the basement, and then my 2-year-old comes in crying. And I find Gina, my wife, at the bottom of the stairs. I mean, she fell, and that's it, okay? She fell, and then I called the ambulance. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. I'll be having a talk with your wife.
It's no problem. I usually interpret for her anyways.
Sorry, Mr. Cameron, but in situations like this, we don't use family members. We'll be getting an interpreter from Victim Services. If you'll excuse me.
Hello, I'm Stella Pearl. I'm an interpreter with the Multicultural Services. I'm here regarding the Cameron case.
Hi, I'm Jane Way. Thanks for coming down. We don't have much information to go on. The only real witness is their 2-year-old daughter, Sarah. I checked with dispatch, and we've been to the house before on suspected assaults, but no charges were ever laid. Now, she's a little shaken up, but we're going to need to talk with her as soon as possible.
I know you need to interview her, but I would like a moment to introduce myself to her and let her know what is happening and what she can expect when you talk with her.
Okay, that's no problem. Just let me know when she's ready. We'll also need to tape the interview and get it translated by a court-approved translator. If the case goes to court, the Crown will want it.
She may be very reluctant to speak with you. She feels that she is the cause of a great deal of shame to herself and her family.
If we want to charge the husband, we're going to need a statement from her. Take all the time you need to reassure her that it's okay to talk with me. And you can explain to her why we need the tape recorder.
Okay.
Okay, so when she's ready, just let me know and we'll start the interview, okay?
안녕하세요. 내 이름은 박스텔라예요. 저는 통역사인데요. 오늘 일어났던 일을 말씀해 주시면 경찰에게 번역해 드리려고 왔어요.
왜 경찰이 여기 있죠? 뭘 원해요? 나를 체포 못하게 해주세요.
두려워하지 마세요. 경찰이 당신을 체포하러 온 게 아니라 도와주려 왔어요. 이분은 경찰관 외인데요. 당신을 도와서 당신과 아기가 안전하기를 원해요. 그러려면 몇 가지 물어볼 말이 있는데요. 당신의 답변을 이 녹음기에다 녹음해야 된대요. 괜찮겠어요?
레슬리 말했는데 경찰이 나를 한국으로 보낼 거래요.
모든 일이 잘 될 거예요. 겁내지 마세요. 경찰이 그러려고 여기 온 거 아니에요. 이제 제인한테 말할 준비가 돼 있어요? I think she will talk to you now.
우리 아기는 괜찮아요?
Is my baby okay?
Yes, the doctor says your baby will be fine.
의사가 아기는 건강하대요.
세라는 아직도 데이케어에 있어요?
Sarah, what about Sarah? Is she still at the daycare?
Yes, if you're worried about her, we can contact Victim Services and make arrangements to have someone pick her up.
남편이
My husband said if I talk to the police, he would take Sarah away and I would never see her again.
He can't do that. He can't take her away from you. Gina, I will ask Victim Services to make arrangements to have Sarah picked up and brought to her grandparents this evening. Later, I will contact the ministry and see what we can work out. We'll find a safe place for you. Now, I know you're afraid that your husband will try to abduct your daughter. I know that he's threatened to do this before.
딸을 빼앗아갈까봐 걱정하고 있는 거 알고 있어요. 전에도 그렇게 협박을 한 것 같군요.
Gina, we want you, Sarah, and your baby to be safe. Now, we can help you with that, but we need you to tell us everything that happened today.
그러려면 당신이 무슨 일이 일어났었는지를 얘기해 주셔야 해요.
말할 수 없어요.
I can't tell you what happened. My husband will send me back to Korea. He will take my daughter away from me.
Gina, he can't send you back to Korea. He's only trying to frighten you. You have rights here in Canada, and it doesn't have to be this way. It's my job to keep you and your children safe. Can you tell us what happened today?
당신과 아이들을 안전하게 해주는 것이 제 임무입니다. 오늘 무슨 일이 일어났었는지 얘기해 주시겠어요?
러셀을 떠날 수 없어요.
I can't leave Russell. Where would I go? How would I live?
나를 죽일 겁니다.
He'd kill me if he thought I was leaving him.
There are safe places for you to stay. We can contact the transition house and you can stay there for a while, and they'll help you find a place, a safe place, for you, Sarah, and your baby.
아기가 있을 수 있는 안전한 곳을 찾는 것을 도와줄 거예요.
내 남편입니다.
He's my husband.
복종해야
I
합니다.
must obey him.
It sounds like your husband has hurt you before. This time you could have been seriously hurt. You could have even lost your baby. Gina, this is very serious. If you tell us what happened today, we can stop this from ever happening again.
어떡해요?
How can you do that? Last time after the police came, he locked me in the closet for 2 hours. It is better if I handle things on my own.
Now, I understand that, Gina. But this time, we're asking you what happened. If there's enough evidence, we can recommend charges. But we need your cooperation. We need you to tell us what happened.
얘기해 주셔야 돼요.
그가 말했는데
He said the police will never believe me, that I'm ignorant person who doesn't know anything about Canadian life.
나를 내가
When I say I want to work, he just laughs and says that no one will hire me. He says I'm stupid and a bad mother.
I want to hear what you have to say. Tell me how you got hurt.
당신이 해야 할 말을 듣고 싶어요. 어떻게 다쳤는지 말해주세요.
내가 영어 학교 가겠다.
Russell got angry because I told him I wanted to take English classes.
왜 내가 영어 배우는 걸
I could not understand why he did not want me to learn English. He called me some terrible names, grabbed my arm, and pushed me down the stairs. He said the sight of me made him sick.
Gina, thank you for telling me what happened. I know this must have been very hard for you, but it's important that we know what happened. From what you tell me, your husband has assaulted you. This is against the law in Canada. The police will protect you and your children and make sure nothing like this happens to you again. This is not your fault.
Please, I want to see my daughter.
He really has frightened.
Yeah, but it looks like we have enough evidence to recommend charges. I'm going to call Ident and have them come down and take some photographs, and then I'll contact Crown Counsel this afternoon. Who knows, he might even plead guilty. Excuse me. Mr. Cameron, we have reasonable and probable grounds to believe that you've assaulted your wife.
Hey, you've got this all wrong. I mean, I wouldn't hurt her. She's my wife, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm sure you believe that. Please take your hands out of your pockets.
Look, I explained everything to you before. She fell, right?
Mr. Cameron, you're under arrest for assault. Please place your hands behind your back.
You can't charge me. How can you prove it? You'll never get her to testify against me. She can't even speak English properly.
I'm arresting you for assaulting Gina Cameron this afternoon. It is my duty to inform you that you have the right to retain...
In this scenario, Constable Y had to build Gina's confidence for her to disclose because she believed her husband had the power to take her children away. She feared that her husband would send her back to her country of origin. She thought she was to blame for her husband's behavior.
Thank you for coming in, Mrs. Baines. Now, the purpose of this meeting today is to review the evidence and prepare for court.
My husband. What's going to happen to my husband? When is he coming home? My daughter is very worried about him, and his parents are very angry that he might have to go into court. I don't want charges laid against him.
Mrs. Baines, I know this is not what you want. But based on the evidence, we've decided to proceed with a charge of assault against your husband.
He's not a criminal. He loves us. I don't want him to go to jail. Oh, my God, this is all my fault. I should have known not to argue with him when he's tired. Why can't you just drop the charges? He's already stayed away from his family for over a month to show his intent. He wants to change.
Mrs. Baines, I'm sure your husband feels that way right now. But we need to make sure your family is safe. And from the evidence the police gathered, we believe that your husband did commit an assault. Now, he needs to understand that this is not a private matter.
No.
It concerns everyone. This may be the best thing for you and your family.
I won't testify. He's my husband. I would never do anything to shame him in front of his family or our community. Now, please, drop the charges.
I understand that you're worried about what's going to happen to your husband. But our experience tells us that unless he takes responsibility for his behavior, he will not change. Now, this may be the best thing for you and your family.
I can't. I just... He's my husband. How can I go through a trial? How can I ever face his family?
Well, Mrs. Baines, it's up to your husband. If he pleads guilty, then there won't be any need for a trial. In situations like this, the judge can move to sentence your husband right away. Now, there are several options in a first offense. He could receive a conditional discharge. In that situation, he would have to follow certain conditions for a period of time, but he wouldn't have a criminal record. Another option is a suspended sentence. Now, in that situation, he would have to follow certain conditions, and although he would have a criminal record, he wouldn't have to go to jail. Another option is probation. Now, if your husband receives probation, he will once again have to follow all the conditions set out by the judge for a period of time and report to a probation officer. Now, often one of the conditions set out with a probation order is that the individual attend an assaultive men's program where they learn to control their behavior. Now, only in a very, very serious situation would your husband be sentenced to jail for a first conviction. Now, I'd like you to tell me in your own words what happened, okay?
My husband had been away on business. When he got back, he was tired and irritated with us. He'd been upset by something that had happened, and he started yelling. He raised his hand, and my daughter misunderstood. She got scared and called 911. You know how protective girls are of their mothers.
They're fighting again. He's hitting my mom. Hurry, please.
Okay, stay where you are. Stay on the line. The police are on their way. You did the right thing in calling us. Don't be scared.
I can't hear them anymore. I think they stopped. I'm frightened now.
That's okay. The police will be there
Children
soon.
often feel torn between their love for both parents and their fear that one of them is going to be hurt. Children are affected when they witness abuse.
My daughter and I have talked about it. About what happened.
What I have right now are statements the police took from you, from your in-laws, your daughter, as well as photographs they took at the scene, but I would like you to tell me in your own words what happened that night.
Nothing. It was an accident. Look, I made him angry and he just overreacted, but I'm fine now.
Assault is a criminal offense, Mrs. Baines. By proceeding with charges now, we hope to avoid a more serious situation in the future. You know, this may be the event that will convince your husband that he needs to change his behavior.
No, you don't understand, Mr. McNeil. In my community, people don't go to court to resolve family matters. They work them out within the family. Now, my in-laws are very angry about this. They already think I brought shame to the family by being too westernized. They would never forgive me if my husband went to jail. I told the officers not to arrest him.
Now, you didn't press charges against your husband. The police at the scene recommended that charges be laid. Now, according to your statement, your in-laws were present when the fight happened and when the police arrived.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Baines. Who else is in the household with you here tonight?
My mom, my father, my daughter and my wife.
कौन है?
कोई नहीं, पुलिस है, तुझ जाओ अंदर.
You go, no problem over here, okay? इन्होंने इथे किने बुलाया? इन्होंने कहो जाओ.
Mr. Baines, we're going to have to make sure that everyone is okay for ourselves. Unfortunately, that means we're not going to be able to leave until we confirm that. However, before I do that or any other talking, I'm going to have to make sure there's no other weapons on you or anything like that.
Hey, what are you doing? What do you want?
मेरे पुत्र ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ? What are you doing to my son?
ਮਾਂ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰ ਪਲੀਜ਼.
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪਈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ? ਇਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਉਂ ਦੋਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਸਲੂਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ? ਕਹਿ ਦੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਣ ਇੱਥੋਂ. ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਮਾਮਲਾ ਸੀ, ਆਪੇ ਨਿਪਟ ਲਾਂਗੇ. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਵੋਟੀ ਕੁੱਤੀ ਦਾ ਕਾਰਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਇੱਜ਼ਤ ਨੂੰ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ
ਮਾਂ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰ ਪਲੀਜ਼.
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਵਿਖਾਉਣ ਜੋਗੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਿਆ. ਦੱਸ ਲੋਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ?
ਮਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਓ.
ਵੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦੇ ਇਹ ਚਲੇ
Please, ਮਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਓ.
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਕਹਵੇ ਨਾ.
We've had a report of a fight or an assault here, and we have to find out what's happened.
Nothing happened here. Just a little argument. Don't tell me you never had an argument with your wife. Things just happen. I mean, I'm sorry. You can talk about.
We do have the statement Officer Shaw took from your in-laws. Although your father-in-law speaks little English, he was able to understand Shaw's
ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ
questions.
ਮਾਂ ਬਣਨ ਦੇ ਕਾਬਿਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ. ਮਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਰਹੀ, ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਤੀਵੀਂ ਬਣਨ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਬਿਲ ਨਹੀਂ. ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ.
Where were you while this was happening?
I was in the bathroom. You're not fit to be a mother. Look at you. You're no good as a wife. You can't even take care of your own child. You're a disgrace to this family.
Mrs. Baines, are you in there? Can you hear me? Ma'am, you okay?
Mrs. Baines, are you all right? Can we go into the kitchen to talk? My name's Officer Shaw. What's your name?
Suki.
Hi, Suki. That's a nice name. Suki, does your mom speak English?
Yeah, she works in...
Yes, of course I speak English. I was born here.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Baines. I didn't mean to offend you. I just want to make sure you understand what I'm saying here. Now, can you tell me what happened here today?
Nothing. My husband and I just had a little argument. It was my fault.
Mom!
Look, it was nothing, just an argument.
What was the argument about?
I told you nothing. I can't even remember now.
Can you tell me what happened while you were arguing?
Nothing happened. We were both upset and our voices got a little loud, that's all.
Look, Mrs. Baines, we really want to help you and your family, but we need to know what happened here today.
According to the police report, you were reluctant to discuss with the officer what happened that evening. Can you tell me what made you decide to talk to Officer Shaw?
I realized that my daughter had taken a big risk in calling the police. Seeing how much it meant to her for things to change made me realize that I couldn't go on protecting my husband and my in-laws anymore. I had to think of my own safety and the safety of my child. It was a very difficult decision.
Took a lot of guts to call 911. You should be proud of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what happened here today?
I guess so. But I don't want to get my dad in trouble.
Look, I know you love your parents, Suki, but it's important that you tell me the truth. If you want to help your parents, you need to tell me what you heard and saw.
Well, my dad got mad at my mom. He called her some names. Then he grabbed her arm and started hitting her. That's when I ran upstairs and called 911.
Mrs. Baines, I know you love your husband and you're loyal to your family. But he needs to understand that hitting you is against the law. This may be the only way he will be made to understand that he has to change his behavior.
He doesn't mean to hurt me. He just gets so mad that he can't control his reactions. I mean, he would die if he thought he'd really hurt me. He doesn't deserve to go to jail.
Well, like I said before, he may not have to go to jail. If he pleads guilty, there won't be any trial at all. It's up to him.
What will I have to do if the case goes to trial? I don't know how I could get up in a courtroom and speak out against my husband. I would just fall apart.
Well, you're not alone. We can arrange for you to meet with a Crown victim witness worker who can give you more information about what goes on at the trial, what to expect if the case does go to court, and also what's expected of you as a witness. A worker will be with you in court. Also, if you want, they may be able to put you in touch with a Punjabi-speaking support worker who can talk with your in-laws.
No, I don't think I can go through with the trial. Life at home will be terrible.
Well, you have to think about the future, Mrs. Baines. I know it's difficult for you to believe this now, but you are doing the best thing for you and your family. If the abuse continued, your daughter would be affected. I doubt if either you or your husband want that.
No, but... Oh. What do you need from me?
Well, we need to make sure we have all the facts. Now, I'd like to try reviewing the statement you gave to the police. Let's start from the beginning.
Before Crown Counsel could proceed with the charges, he and Jaswant had to address her concerns about bringing shame on her family and community, putting her daughter in a position where she felt torn between her parents, and turning her husband's family against her. Violence against women is never acceptable. All women have a right to safety, regardless of race, culture, or religion. Police officers, Crown Counsel, and victim service workers have a responsibility to find ways of supporting all women overcome these barriers. By embracing our diversity and developing culturally sensitive approaches, we will all make a contribution to the safety and well-being of women and children.
Hello?
Hello. My name is Susan McCrae, and I'm the probation officer who is supervising your husband, Jagdeep Singh Baines. He's being released today, and I've asked him to wait outside while I speak with you. Is now a good time?
Oh, yes, I'm glad you called. No, I'm concerned about what things are going to be like when he gets back.
Well, your husband has been released, but he is on probation. I wanted to let you know that I will be supervising Jag for the next year. And part of my job is to help you stay safe and offer you ongoing assistance if you need help. I can give you the number for victim services. They can discuss your situation and assist you with developing a safety plan if needed. Also, I'll give you the telephone number of a counseling program